So I had my day planned out already, as we tend to do, but as most people know, it tends to change quite quickly, certainly on Monday morning. I was at my first job before 8 o'clock. I needed to get in and beat the tiler because we needed to put a underfloor heating thermostat conduit in before they tiled the wall. We'd done the rest of the first fix for this bathroom already, but it was a case of pulling the flexi conduit through and making sure that we had the feed in for the thermostat. Also putting a drawer cable in as well so we could pull it through afterwards, and it was ready for floor prep for the tiler. Because of the way the joists were here, we had to notch the back of this one out, so put a metal plate in as extra protection as always, and then it was the usual clean up and we were done. Whilst we were there, we had an emergency call out school that we tend to work at quite regularly, and they had some lights that had gone out in one of the classrooms. This wasn't part of the plan, so I delayed my second job that I was supposed to be going to and jumped in here first. So having a good little look around, it seemed that all the wiring had come back to these little control boxes and DIN rails. These included PIRs, feeds in, feeds out, emergency lights, and all the classroom fittings, of which there was about 12 as well in 2 different rooms. So it was a case of breaking down, trying to trace the cables and find what was going on. Thankfully, after not too long, we did discover this emergency light fitting that was completely failed and was tripping the circuit, so that was a right result. That one was done, and we were back to our original one again. This one was first fixed in a loft where we needed to get some circuits in prior to plasterboarding and the floor being boarded. The customer wanted 3 or 4 light fittings in here and probably 3 or 4 sockets as well, because they were going to do a little bit of work up here and maybe have a table up there, so they wanted some power for that. We worked out our routes and how we were best going to do it and got going. Once again, this staple gun making things a dream. I'm pretty sure it doubles the speed of any install with clipping. We'd opted for a 4mm cable up here because it gives the option of having a 32 amp radial circuit. Based on the customer's requirements, we decided that it was best to have a couple of sockets here and here running through on like a radial style, and then where he was possibly going to have like a workbench or table there. Then coming over to the lighting, we had an existing feed, so we were going to do a junction box there, move it up to a couple of fittings right on the apex there, standard fittings, and then we were going to have a PIR fitting that was suggested by the customer for one light on its own. So as you came up the loft hatch, it came on automatically and gave a better light before you even had to find the switch. Also meant if you were just popping up there, you wouldn't necessarily need to turn them all on. While we were at this one, we'd had another call out as well, so we had to go nip off and squeeze that in as well. That happened to just be a tripping RCD that was in a slightly hidden location, so fairly simple one, that one. One of the last ones of the day was the customer wanted this socket removed. They were having the wall plastered and they wanted it taken away ideally because it was high up from a previous owner and it didn't really serve purpose. They had this amazing little dog as well, which I love. But anyway, after having a look around, it was clear that the cables went up and above was a tiled bathroom floor, so there was no way of actually removing the cables to make them isolated. And I won't remove accessories unless I can fully isolate the cables, so we decided to Wago them off so they could plaster round, and then we could basically either blank plate it and it could be painted over, or they could decide whether they wanted a socket back there if their plans changed. Once all the jobs were done, it was back to the office as I had a CIS submission to do, and then it's back onto emails and socials, the usual. Interesting day, and tomorrow we've got about 5 call outs to do as well, so let's see how that one goes.